Live from Owings Mills, Maryland, it's the Max Fortune Show. Whether it's becoming a success by achieving your dreams and goals, growing your business, or unlocking your full potential, the Max Fortune Show specializes in helping you maximize your fortune. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Max Fortune Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Fortune Show. I am Max Fortune, the host of the show, and author, publisher, and a book coach and a marketing specialist. And just to let you know, the Max Fortune Show is recorded live. The show has calls coming in from viewers and listeners, and we always welcome viewers to comment and ask questions online by going to Ask Max Fortune on Facebook or Instagram today, especially. So, now, if you haven't liked or followed the page yet, please do so right now. Also, please share the Ask Max Fortune page with anyone that you know that has a small business. Again, we're going to be giving some really good information and pointers on how to stay positive through really any situation. And you can join the conversation today during the show by calling toll free at 844-220-2266. Again, the number here is 844-220-2266. You can talk with either myself or Bob Cockey here. You can also email us at the show at maxfortuneshow@gmail. And today, like I said, we are going to be focusing on how to avoid getting caught up with negative people, and how do you maintain a positive attitude when it comes to achieving success. And joining us today is my special guest, Bob Cockey here, who's a successful restaurant owner. And welcome, Bob. Welcome.
Good. My friend Max.
Now, I just want to tell everybody that you actually grew up on a small farm in Carroll County, and while you were still in high school, you started working in a drugstore lunch counter.
Right.
And that was owned by Doc McDougal, and that he found that he had, you found that you had a passion for the food and service industry at that time. And your boss also bought a second location at that time for his business, which he leased to you at a very young age, and you kind of...
I think it was 17.
17, wow. Wow. And so through that whole experience, it looks like you discovered that you enjoyed training others who had no experience. You also had found you had a natural ability to see the possibilities in the businesses that you acquired or built from the ground up, and that you see developing the restaurants as a form of an art, and dedicated yourself to providing attention to detail to each of your endeavors. So again, thank you for coming on the Max Fortune Show. And again, today we're going to be focusing on the importance of positivity and achieving your dreams and goals. And so what I want to start with is one of the things is as far as protecting your goals and how important it is to set goals. And I'll start off by asking you that question. Do you set goals for yourself? Do you?
It's funny. I just sent a text message to someone yesterday. My goals for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the goal, for this weekend's sales goal, because it's easy just to do a 3 or 4 day goal as well as a monthly or a yearly plan, because you got to know what your budget is, and you got to find out how you're going to achieve it. And I like to do that and just look back, and it's good if I go over the goals. We had a great week, and if I don't hit them, I always think the glass is full, Max. I go, well, we didn't hit it on that day, but we blew it out of water on another day, so the good
kind of works out.
You got to know where you've been and where you're going. I mean, it's the restaurant business is in a way it's a great business. I think everybody has a little bit of an entrepreneurship in them, and the restaurant business draws a lot of people because people go, well, we got the dinner. We've been in plenty of restaurants. We cook at home. It can't be that tough.
Right.
In fact, it is a little bit tough, but it is a business that I've always enjoyed, because you do get to put your personal touch. It is a form of art. People are always going to eat, so it is good in that sense, and that's why there's so many restaurants. But to think that it's an easy business, it's not an easy business, but it is a rewarding business. To me, it's always almost been like a sport.
Right.
I mean, it's try to beat the guy down the street,
so you have that competitive edge or competitive streak to yourself, and I guess you have to be in business. You have to really be a staunch competitor and kind of wanting to always win or wanting to do the best that you could possibly do, I would say.
I think that's a major part of it. And what I found that you always have to get involved with the neighborhood, and not just for the sales part. I mean, for me, I've always involved getting in, whether it's sponsoring a little league team, whether it's getting involved with the school down the street. I mean, there is return revenue on that. I mean, it's part of it, but I've never done it looking for a return. I've just always enjoyed being a participant. And you and I had businesses in the past that were very close
Right.
to one another. You know that I was always on the board of directors for the Neighborhood Community Association because that's just something I've always enjoyed getting involved in. You got to see it, believe it to achieve it. And the restaurant business has been very good to me. There's been times when I've gotten out of the restaurant business, but I always end up going back to it. I mean, it is a passion. And
So what I want to do is I also want to, a lot of times with the show, the focus is really, we really try to help people kind of take some of your expertise and your knowledge and your acumen and see how some people can apply that to themselves. And one of the things or the main thing that I want to focus on the show, I know that there's so many people, it's tough, like you mentioned, getting into any business,
right.
restaurant business or anything. And so, again, what happens is a lot of times what affects us all is our mentality or our mind state and really avoiding the naysayers because, again, there's so much stuff that just happens in the natural order of the day. But it's so important to surround yourself with positive people and eliminate negative ones from your life because, again, negative people can really be a cancer on your growth and what you can accomplish and achieve. And so what I want to do is ask you really about some of the positive people that you surround yourself with, or what's your viewpoint on that?
Well, back to the see it, believe it, achieve it thing. And like I said, we've known each other maybe for 10 years and we've done some joint ventures together before. And the reason I contacted you originally was because no matter what, Max Fortune was always a positive person. So when I looked to partner with somebody for different programs, that's why I called Max, was because of your attitude. But you cannot think that something's half full, or you definitely will not achieve your dreams.
You mean half empty?
And I'm sorry, half empty.
It's got to be half full.
Yeah,
not
but,
half empty.
I mean, for me, I was almost kind of like dumb. I didn't think that I couldn't do something. My last name's Cockey, so I always thought I could do things, and part of that was probably the way I was raised. And I did play a lot of sports, but for someone that wants to go in business, whether it's the restaurant business or whether it's another kind of business, you got to do your homework. And I got to tell you something. I had a lot of luck along my way. Like Dr. McDougall, when I was a kid, I worked for him. When I was in high school, I stocked shelves. I worked in the lunchroom. I delivered prescriptions to people's houses. Back then you did it all.
Right.
So he was one of the people in my life that I always looked up to. Dr. McDougall. He was the mayor of our community, Sykesville. He had 9 adopted children.
Wow.
So my parents died when I was pretty young, 5 and age 6. So Dr. McDougall was somebody that I always looked up to. And I guess I did a good job for him because it was him that offered me the opportunity to lease my first restaurant, which was a lunchroom. It was in Randallstown in the Marysville Plaza. It was 6 booths and 22 stools. So that was my introduction to the restaurant business. But you can achieve your goals if you have a game plan, and there are the naysayers like you talked about. If I was going to start out today, I would go be a dishwasher somewhere, and you got to learn it from the ground up. And actually, I was a dishwasher, so.
Yeah, believe it or not, ironically, I used to work probably never shared this story. I used to work in the Chart House restaurant, and they served everybody in the dish room.
Sure.
And so yes, I washed my share of dishes too. The day I didn't stay there long, which is good. But they start everyone in there, and I think it is a good way if you're building up. I guess starting from the bottom, and so one of the things that I also want to talk about is really how important is it to not let other people steal your joy, or just again staying it's really, I always tell people it's really very important to develop a mental toughness, especially when you're in business. So, those of you who are out there, you have business, or you're aspiring to grow a business or start a business. I mean, one of the essential ingredients is having that mental toughness and really not letting other people steal your joy. So, uh, speak to that, Bob.
Well, everything hasn't always been a success. And but whenever I had to, what I would do is if I had a goal. I mean, even when my son was young, I knew I had to get a play set for him. I found a play set in a magazine. I cut it out, and I actually glued it to my mirror. So when I shaved every morning, I saw that swing set, and I go, and so you got to be your own best cheerleader. That's for sure. And whether there's naysayers, also there's going to be cheerleaders along the way too.
Right.
So you got to kind of surround yourself with cheerleaders, and that's why, I called a Max Fortune. One of them, we were doing something, we did some training together. I guess it's I did workforce development for the Department of Social Services, and when I started the sessions, I told the students, I said, this isn't so much about culinary training. This is about letting you know that what you want to achieve is between your ears. If you weren't able to go in your neighborhood and get a Starbucks coffee this morning because that corner building was boarded up, I said, my goal isn't to teach you to be a cook. My goal is to teach you that if you can see it and believe it, you can achieve it. I said, I don't want you to be that cook. I want you to be that person that goes back into your neighborhood, takes the boards off that building, and it's your business. I said, because it can be your business. I said, it's not always going to be easy, but you got to believe that you can, and you will. And that was the most important thing of our workforce development program. I think was creating a mindset with the people. And all these people were receiving Department of Social Services benefits.
Gotcha.
And I feel that we did reach at least a good percentage of those people.
You know what? I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, and it's something that actually I like interviewing and talking to successful people or people who achieve success because I like to be able to see, or the viewers to be able to see that there is a common thread. And you just mentioned something that is a common thread. You talk about posting that picture of that swing set somewhere, and I was just on a show or two talking about how important it was. And I used to sell vacuum cleaners door to door.
Sure.
And in my car, I would put my goals on the dashboard of the car or in the mirror because, again, that's where you start your day or end your day in the bathroom. So it's one of the things that I always tell people that, and again, it's funny that you're echoing that same sentiment, that if you have goals or dreams or things that you want to accomplish or achieve, you definitely have to put them in plain view. You got to be able to see them. You're saying to see it, achieve it, believe it. And again, it's really, even if you can perceive it, you can achieve it, and so you have to see your goals. You have to see them every day. And, would you, one of the things that I feel like the more success you experience, really the more obtainable you make success to others. So it's like mirroring success, I call it. And so with mirroring success, or just talk about the making your experiences more obtainable, or sharing your experiences with other people, how that's been helpful or beneficial.
Well, a lot of times you learn from what other people already accomplished. I did read a lot of books on people who were successful. I never read a book that was fictional. I always read books on people that were successful, whether it was Ford, IBM, Behind the Golden Arches, the Ray Kroc story, because you can learn the attitudes that they had. And you don't always have to invent a new mousetrap.
Right.
But I did try to steal some of the attitude or some of the game plans of a Marriott or Arthur Black that built the Home Depot stores.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out of business with their first store, but they didn't give up.
Right.
They said, we made a few mistakes. We're going to do this again. Let's regroup and do it again. And of course, the success of Home Depot. The Ray Kroc story, which is a movie now.
Yeah.
He didn't. It wasn't just like, I'm going to go into the fast food industry.
Right.
he couldn't get $12,500 together from his friends because they didn't have that positive attitude. They're like, well, imagine this. Imagine if somebody came to you 20 years ago and said, I want you to invest in a coffee company. We're going to call it Starbucks. And we're not going to sell Cokes or anything or hamburgers. We're basically going to sell expensive coffees. And we'll have some stuff with goat cheese on there. You'd be like, are you crazy, Bob? You're not going to have Cokes. You're not going to have hamburgers. And you want me, but see, they had a vision and they had a game plan and they didn't let anybody talk them out of that. Of course, we know the success of Starbucks today. So somebody had a plan.
Yeah, and having a plan is so important. Also, again, when I usually am interviewing someone and they say these little buzzwords, I also, you said another buzzword that were something that I usually like to echo to people, that there's a common sentiment out there that leaders are readers. You said you read a lot of these stories.
A lot of books.
And
a lot of books.
So again, and today, it doesn't have to be physical books. I like physical books, being a publisher and author as well. But again, reading something and always learning, that's one thing that most successful people will tell you, that they're always learning or reading or growing. They're what's the word I'm looking for? Just the information that they're taking in.
It's extra bullets when you're going through this, it helps you fight the naysayers too. I had dinner with the Baltimore City Comptroller, Joan Pratt, a couple of weeks ago, who's been a very, very successful lady. She's 24 years she's been the controller of a big city. And she grew up in the Park Heights area, which was, in her day was not a great neighborhood. And I said, Joan, how did you get from being the third most powerful woman in the city government, elected 6 times she was elected? How did you get out of that stigma? And she said, I loved studying. I loved reading. She said, reading got me to where I am today. So
that, it's super important to be reading, educate yourself, and always finding a way to do that. And I want to circle to my next point about being able to attract the right kind of people and how important that is to grow in a business, because in business, or really in personal relationships and business relationships, I think in any relationship, having the right kind of people around you is super critical. It's super important. And so how did you navigate that? How did you kind of go about making sure you align yourself with the right kind of people?
I got to tell you, I don't know if there's a recipe for that, Max. I think maybe it's almost a sixth sense that a person might have. Like when I first met you, I knew that I liked you. I saw how you carried yourself. And I don't know if your viewers know you, but I know where you grew up. And, you didn't grow up with a silver spoon. You're a self-made person, and you had a dream, and you've always been a positive person. So I think it's just some people are meant to be out front, and other people aren't. So I certainly wasn't hanging out with car thieves and all. I hung out with people that were in business, and I think once you get in the business, that becomes your circle of acquaintances.
And it is super important, because what happens is we become a product of our environment. So whether you're around negative people or positive people, they're gonna rub off on you.
Right.
And so it's very, very important. That's also one thing. I have 4 kids, and I one of the ways in raising them, I was very instilling them from a little age to be able to make good friends, because as you're growing up, or as you're raising kids, after a while, you're not going to have any influence. That friends are going to have way more influence. So if you teach them how to pick good friends, then even when you lose your influence, the people who are influencing them are still positive. And so that to me is an important way of making sure that you surround yourself with positive people, or people are doing positive things, and kind of learn that as early as you possibly can. But in business, it's critical. It's critical.
Well, and birds of feathers flock together too, Max. You set an example, whether you knew it or not, from day one with your children. You were the example. And unfortunately today, there's so many broken homes that there's not always both parents in the home to set that example. But there's one more factor involved. People always think that money is the answer for whether it's building a business or whatever. But I'm going to tell you another important ingredient that even carries more weight than the money part is if you're going to be in business, you have to have credibility. So you got to show up on time. You got to do what you say you're going to do, and that credibility for me, being an older person, and I've had plenty of things that weren't successful too. You got to just get up every morning, put your pants on, and go to work. But if you lose credibility, it doesn't matter how much money you have. People don't want to do business with you. I mean, my situation in the restaurant business. People will call me if there's a problem, whether I can either partner with them or give them the answer on how to fix the problem. Once you lose the credibility, you're done. I mean,
And you know what? This kind of piggybacks onto the same thing about one thing I believe in is kind of building your own kind of dream team around you, but having people that you can count on even for advice. Like I said, people have called on you, but the importance of being able to have good and positive people around you, or people that it's always good to have people that you can mentor, but also somebody that is mentoring you at the same time. I think it's very important to have that kind of situation going, so that you're always growing by your through your mentorship, and then you're always helping someone else grow at the same time. And I think that's a great way to be, and to again, surrounding yourself with people who are also trying to achieve, maybe not the same dream, but similar dreams. And they're going after their dreams. It goes on. A lot of times when you have, as we all do inevitably in business, you're going to have those rough days and those rough patches. And if you surround yourself around successful people, they've already been through that. A lot of them have overcome that. And they understand the roller coaster. So a lot of times they're able to pick you up and help you, stay motivated and stay focused.
Absolutely. And when I say that it hasn't been all successes, it's like and I always equate everything. Sports is how I equate things to the restaurant business. If a running back gets hit for a 2-yard loss, it doesn't mean he doesn't carry the ball again.
Right.
He sees that there's a goal line. Here we go back to goals again. He knows where the goal is, and so he might reach a goal the next time. For me, when I say I've had a lot of luck, I have had a lot of luck. Sometimes you can be good and have bad luck, but sometimes your good fortune is like Will Rogers said, the harder he worked, the luckier he got.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't all luck. Maybe I did, I have worked a lot of 7 days, but I've enjoyed it, and
Well, again, something else that you did say that I don't think enough people attribute to success, and that's failure. Actually, most people who are successful have failed more than they've succeeded.
Oh, sure.
And honestly, going back to your Roy Kroc story, where he was a milkshake salesman and
equipment salesman,
right, selling these machines, and really couldn't sell one of those things, and kind of mortgaged his house and everything.
Sure.
And then ran into the McDonald brothers and had that big idea, expansive idea, and that didn't even start off perfect in the beginning, but he just just like any other business.
He didn't take no. They told him no.
Yeah.
Actually, Carnation had already approached the McDonald brothers about expanding, and they wanted no part of expansion. But the difference was Ray Kroc didn't take no for an answer. And he went back again and again, and he was a salesperson, and he convinced the McDonald brothers into letting him franchise the restaurants. Look, if you don't think for sure, if you don't think you can do something, you sure can.
Yeah.
It goes back to see it, believe it, achieve it. And I really, really think that you hit the nail on the head when you said you have to surround yourself with people that are in the same mindset. Even the Bible says, can two walk together, at least they agree. So.
One of the other things that I think is a key to being successful, and something that we were talking about at the top of the show before we kind of got into the show, and it's one of the things I say about recapturing your inner child. And think about children. The spirit of fear, or the being fearful or frightful, is not in children. Fear is a learned behavior. You have to learn You have to really learn failure. You have to learn fear. You have to learn those type of things. And so, in being successful, one of the things you have to kind of embrace that child, like that inner child that you were back then, the fearless person just going out there. And you were talking about the before the show started.
I was too stupid to know I could fail,
and because of that, you succeeded.
Yeah,
and so, it's that blind belief and that never giving up and just being so fixated on accomplishing your goal that you really just don't even see failure.
Not even just the restaurant. There's been things around my house like major plumbing problem. My wife's like, we got to call plumber. I'm like, no, I didn't fix that. She goes, you can't fix that. I'm like, well, if a plumber can fix it, he's no smarter than me. And it might be 2 days later, and my son's like, Dad, I can't believe we fixed that. But I won't give up. I mean, it's just it's not in me. But back to the sports thing. And for the goals, like right now, I know where I want to be at the end of this October month in sales for the restaurant. I know where I want November sales to be. I know where I want to be going into the first of the year. And if I miss some of them, I'll sit back and I'll see either why I missed those goals or what I got to do to reach those goals. I mean, it's I think it's in my DNA I'm just stupid. I don't see, I will not take no for it. I just,
and you know what?
I think I can do it. I mean,
and you know what? I mean, it's the can-do attitude and spirit that gets everything done, to be honest with you. And if you feel like you can't do it, then you can't do it. And you know what I want to do is I want to take this moment real quick to tell everybody, okay, we always welcome viewers and comments and ask questions right now. If you have questions for myself or for Bob Cockey here on the show, you can talk to us live right now. You can call in 844-220-2266 is the number. Again, it's 844-220-2266. Our producer's standing by. We'll take your calls live on the air. And you can also email us at maxfortuneshow@gmail.com. So again, if you want to join the conversation, you comment or call us live, and you can share your successes, your failures even, or how you overcome failures. We'd love to hear from you. So again, that number is 844-220-2266. Now, you know what? There's something that I like to call the boomerang effect. It's when you are positive, it goes like even if you walk into an elevator and you smile at somebody, what usually happens? They usually smile back. And life works a lot like that. That what we put out in the world, we usually end up getting back. Yeah. And so as I talk to people about success and being a success and really looking at, I think that another common thread of successful people is there. I mean, and I know this about you as well, is that you're always giving back. You're always looking to help someone and do something for someone. And it's very difficult to help someone without kind of getting something out of it in the long run, even just benefiting, by helping someone, just by knowing you help someone, just, it's that boomerang effect,
Well, there's a lot of these old sayings are old because there's a lot of validity to them.
Right.
And the old saying is it's better to give than to receive. I mean, a father on Christmas morning or whatever, when the kids are opening gifts, he's got the joy from watching the people open the gifts, not what gifts he received for Christmas. Max, when I first met you on Arlington, when I had that the beer garden, that place was virtually a dump. It was tires, it was old batteries, and I turned it into a beer garden. People love sitting out there, and you know what that looked like before I did. And people are like, are you nuts? Aren't you afraid to be in this neighborhood? And I'm like, maybe again, I was just not the brightest person. I'm like, afraid of what? And like there was a ghetto grate on the door, and I get out the first day with a screw gun in my hand and say to one of the neighborhood kids, do I need that ghetto grate? Like, hell no, Mr. Cockey. Never had any problems, and people are like, are you crazy? But I could see that there was a need, and then it was a good neighborhood. For me, it was a good neighborhood, But once again, I knew what I was going to do there. And some people can sing, some people can dance, draw, paint. I can't do any of that. But I am able to picture something in my mind and then make it happen, so.
And there's definitely something to be said about that. I mean, it's super impactful, important to be able to do that. And you know what? As we're kind of walking through some of these steps about of becoming successful, or traits of successful people, or how to really overcome adversity even when it does happen. Because a lot of times I don't think we hear enough about how important or how common it is to, the adversity to success. I mean, it's really, it's really a big part. I think so many people get, when they hit adversity, they don't know what to do because they weren't expecting it. Now, this is one thing, going back to one of the athletic things that, they always say in boxing, the punch that knocks you out is the one you don't see.
Right.
And so that's yeah. And so
it's the last punch I got you.
Yeah, it's the one you don't see. Yeah, so it's like, and that works in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the ones you don't see. So if you're kind of going out there and you're going after achieving success, and you don't go out there looking for adversity or whatever, but when it comes, you know that it's a part of failing, is part of winning.
Yeah.
Because I think we learn way more from our failures than we do from our successes.
Absolutely.
And so if you understand that that's a critical part when it happens, you don't get knocked out by it, because you're expecting the fact that you're going to have some failures, and it's not a failure until you stay on the ground. If you get back up, you're not a failure. That's just a failed attempt. And so, it's very important to just kind of get back up even when you're not down, because it's just...
That's true. And I don't have a college degree or anything, but I did take an economics course one time, and on the inside flap, there was one sentence. It was an economics book, and it said, and I'll never forget it, it said, the reward for risk is profit. It's that simple. Wow. So every time you go into business, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee of anything. But when I first met you, when we were talking before the show, we saw the picture on the wall. Was one of my old restaurants where you did a book signing event.
Right.
And once again, when I went into that neighborhood, you got to remember, I was telling your production assistant that I painted the two empty buildings next door to my restaurant, to make it look like my restaurant was bigger.
Right.
I put flowers in front of them. It was the same. I painted the same as my restaurant. And actually, I can see the picture now. The restaurant looked like it was a high-end restaurant in Georgetown.
It really did.
Or Annapolis, but you and I know.
Yeah, no, it was a gem. It was absolutely a gem.
Yeah, it was.
Not only on the outside, but on the inside. It was a very beautiful place.
But going back to how you surround yourself, when it was the only restaurant in that neighborhood on that scale. And once again, people were like, "Are you crazy?" But it was a delight to be there. The neighborhood appreciated me coming there, and later on, you don't know what you were talking about. You don't know who you hang with. Just being involved in that neighborhood. Later on, when I went to a really good neighborhood like in Fells Point, and they're like, "We're not having a bar and restaurant in our neighborhood. We're going to hire a lawyer, and we're going to block your liquor license. We're going to keep you from opening." The president of the neighborhood association said, "Well, wait a second. He came from Holland."
We actually have a call in.
We do? It's probably CBS or NBC trying to get a...
Hi, you're on live at the Max Fortune Show.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Liz. I just wanted to call in regards with Bob Cockey. So I've had the pleasure of working with Bob for the last couple months, and I just wanted to put out my appreciation as well. He made me feel quite special over this last week. My 40th birthday is this weekend, and he went out of his way to get a resolution from the city of Baltimore, the city council, just for my years of service, because I've been doing this job since I was 18, and I have to say Bob is one of the few people who's taken the time to actually give me some props for what I've been doing for a while, and I just wanted to put it out there that, I'm really excited about the endeavors that we're going to go on, and excited about any new direction that the restaurant will be headed.
Fantastic. Liz, thank you so much for calling. Do you have any questions for Bob?
Just one major question.
Probably when am I getting back to the restaurant? Liz is off tonight.
No, I'm just kidding. But one thing I just was wondering when I was listening to y'all talking, I was just wondering, how you as a person, you're becoming well respected in so many different neighborhoods throughout the city. Really, what is the reasoning behind it, and how did you get involved into doing that?
I appreciate you calling in, Liz.
Liz, thank you so much for calling in. Please stay tuned. Continue to listen, okay? I'm just going to give his answer.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
You know, Liz, part of it was liking to do it. And the other thing was, so many people helped me growing up that maybe it was an inborn response to try to help people back. But, you know, working with people like you and all, to me, it isn't even a job. Being involved with the different neighborhoods and all, like I was starting to tell Max before you called in. So, you know, when I was in not such a good neighborhood and people were like, are you crazy for going over there and building restaurants? You know, later on when I had a chance to go into Fells Point and all, and, you know, those neighborhood associations over there are pretty tough, you know, because it's their right to protect their neighborhoods and all. But when they were hiring lawyers and all to block me from opening a bar and restaurant and getting a liquor license, I was right on the border of two neighborhood associations. And one of the presidents goes, you know what? I'm going to call the neighborhood association where Bob came from.
And see what kind of...
And I'm getting a little choked up because of my son. I had to set an example for him.
Wow.
So when this neighborhood president calls over there, they go, give us a background on this Bob Cockey guy. And they said, if you get him and his son, you'll be glad he moved to your neighborhood.
Wow. Wow.
And that's it. And that goes back to credibility. It was credibility that got that done.
Wow.
It's years of credibility working with government agencies. You might have a deficiency with the health department. They come in. If you tell that inspector that you're going to fix it, you better fix it, because when they come back 30 days later, if it's not fixed, now you have no credibility.
Right, right.
But a lot of it, Liz, had to do with trying to set an example for my son.
That's awesome. And you know what? That kind of leads perfectly into the next question I was going to ask you, and I was going to ask you about what type of things or experiences in your life contributed to the work that you do. I think you kind of alluded to. We'll answer that question. I mean,
Well, you know, Max, a guy was a utility contractor that I knew for years. And everything he did was underground. He couldn't see it when it was finished. He said, one day I would like to just build a building or a bridge so that when I'm old, I can drive by and say, I built that bridge. With the restaurant, and Liz is seeing a little bit this at the new place, because people say, come up, and they go like, man, we heard you were here. Good to see you again. And that makes you feel good. Look, we've all got egos.
Right.
But for me, it's been a sport. Honestly though, Max, it's been a sport, you know. I like when the kitchen's busy, you go back there and you try to knock the tickets out. It's always been a sport for me. And to be honest with you, it's a business, you know, that is a lot of hours and all, but it also, you know, if you want to go play golf, you can schedule yourself to go play golf. It's not like sitting in a cubicle somewhere with the government going, well, I can't play golf today because I'm on the clock. So it has its good points. But
so let me ask you this: what would you say is your personal motto?
See it, believe it, achieve it, baby.
Believe it, achieve it.
I still believe it. You know?
Yeah, that's good.
You know, because if you don't, you can't get there. I mean, that's my motto. See it, believe it, achieve it.
Right. I have another question for you. You being a chef and everything, what would you
I'm
say?
not a chef, but I'm a cook. No, but yeah, I'm better than a chef.
Restaurateur.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of using a play on words. I was
right.
ask you what your recipe for success was. You know.
You know, back to the old sayings. They're old sayings because they've got some games you win, Some games you'll lose, and some games get rained out, Max. But you get dressed for all of them. And you put your pants on every day and you go to work and you do your best, and, it doesn't always work out, but it's consistency. And I enjoy what I do. And I enjoy being around people, and especially people like Liz O'Malley. You said you wash dishes and all.
I do.
And I love taking a dishwasher and say, you're not going to be a dishwasher very long with me. I don't want you to be a dishwasher. You can bring a buddy in to wash dishes, because in 2 weeks I'm going to promote you. I'm going to teach you how to do this. And I have an example like that right now at the restaurant. I told the kid, I said, I said to him, I said, I'm watching you wash dishes. You're an athlete. You're not a dishwasher. I said, we're going to train you. You're going to move up. I said, so find a buddy to take your spot in 2 weeks, because you're not going to be a dishwasher forever. And that's part of the business. You've been around, Max. You see it happen.
Definitely.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure, go ahead.
We're talking about who you associate with, and a lot of that does rub off on you. I've met a lot of great people in Baltimore City. I've met a lot of great people growing up. And when you said a chef, so I'm not a chef, but I'm going to tell you something. As many years as I've been doing this, you might learn something that's culinary from a dishwasher because his grandmom taught him.
Right.
So over the years, I've worked with so many different cooks and chefs that I've been able to pick up a few tricks or other trades from each and every one of them. So I don't consider myself a chef, but
You learned a lot.
I've learned a lot, and I'm actually better than all the chefs. I'm about twice as fast as they are, and know about 10 times more than they do, Max, because my last name's Cockey, and I'll leave it at that.
So let me ask you this: do you is your part of your personal mantra or your belief system work smart or work hard?
I can't say that I work smart, Max. I'm probably in the new restaurant, the Life of Raleigh. I have partners that I'm involved with, and I told them up front. I said, I am the worst manager there is. Like, oh no, Bob, you're not a bad manager. I go, no. I said, I'm a terrible manager. I said, I can work hard, but I'm a bad manager. And I said, if you don't believe me, ask my wife. And my wife was in the background, and she goes, he's the worst. He's definitely the worst. And for me, it goes back, it's sports. I'm just too stupid to know I can't do it, Max.
Wow. So, you know what, I'm curious if you have an idea or to share with the viewers, the people who are watching. What do you think the number one reason most people actually fail to succeed?
It was the mindset. It's like playing golf. 80% of golf is between your ears. And it doesn't mean like I need a haircut. You got to see the shot. You got to know you can make this shot. And, I didn't come here to lay up. If I got a shot and there's a big body of water, you got to decide, can I clear it or not? If you think you can clear it, you better go ahead and try to clear it, because I made a lot of money hustling golf, Max, you know that. But if I had to do it all over again, Max, I think that I would have, and everything changes, especially the restaurant business is getting into a big point now where it's changing. Like there used to be neighborhood, and I don't want to get off the track, but there used to be neighborhood hardware stores.
Right.
And there aren't any anymore because Lowe's comes in, Home Depot comes in. People used to use typewriters.
Right.
When was the last time you saw a typewriter?
Yeah,
So here's what's going to happen in the restaurant business. You have to set your restaurant up more toward a delivery type business. Because now people grab their phone and go, I need a 12-inch pepperoni pizza, and here comes, Amazon delivering it. So what the restaurant was 20 years ago to the public is not the same today. It's not even close, really. The local bar restaurant used to be everybody's cathedral. It was their clubhouse. People lived in 11, 12, 15-foot wide row homes, so they had to meet in the local pub or bar. And that's why there was one on every corner. So that's where they got their gossip. That's where they got everything. Today, people get all their gossip on Facebook. If they want a pizza, they say, "Hello, Echo, give me a pizza," or they Uber somewhere. So you don't see typewriters anymore. And eventually, over 52 restaurants did close in Baltimore last year. And they were some of the successful ones that did. So if anybody is even thinking about getting in the restaurant business, I think they need to do their business plan more toward catering into commercial, like hospitals and businesses, and now set up their kitchen and their whole operation with their overhead. They can actually have a lower overhead because they don't have to be on a busy corner for delivery.
Gotcha.
And so they need to hook up with Grubhub and Uber Eats and all those delivery services. That's what I would do if I was getting back from
You know what? And you said something else that that is also important for any and everybody who is in business or aspiring to business is the importance of evolving your business. You know, you're saying how the restaurant business is different 20 years ago. I think every business, technology
Sure.
is changing every business, and if you're not focusing on evolving your business, again,
Yeah.
it's gonna go the way of the dinosaur. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna just pass you by. Your competitors are gonna see, and they're gonna be. So if you don't have the vision, somebody else is. And so for those of you out there who do have businesses, one of the things that I talk about a lot on the show is how you have to evolve your business. You have to really be constantly looking at. You know, my wife uses this term about being cockeyed. You got to have one eye on the future, one eye, on the present, and that's kind of how you have to address even in business. You have to be looking at both of those things. You have to be focusing on the future and focusing on the present simultaneously. And if you're not looking at the trends in business, the trends will be looking at you out of business. You know.
Well, Max, can you imagine like being, I think the big typewriter company was Underwood Typewriter. They were king of the mountain. They're probably thinking, man, we got it made. You know, we got it made. And then, wow, do they even make typewriters anymore? I mean,
You know what? I
they
have
didn't.
not seen.
They
a
weren't
typewriter.
cockeyed. They didn't keep their eye on
No,
the
they
future.
didn't. They didn't.
And
They really did. And again, whatever product or service you have, there's a way to. I mean, we're in an interesting time right now as far as technology and how everything is changing and subject to change. And even the phones. Everyone has a phone. The phones.
Max,
Whoever
I'm
thought
changing
that-
too. You're gonna
Yeah.
love this, Max. And
You got a new
I hope my
smartphone?
son never. Yeah, this is my iPhone.
This-
Now I've had this iPhone before most people even knew what an iPhone was. So
That's your iPhone,
my
right?
phone, my son hates when I do that. I mean, he's heard it so many times. So I won't let Robbie know.
You know what? So let me ask you this: what would you say? What are the most important things in your life right now? What would you say?
To me, well, my family definitely. That's number one right now. Sure, my wife and my son.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know Robbie.
Yes, yeah. And so, right now in your life, right now, what inspires you personally right now?
It's still the sport of the restaurant. It's getting these sales up to where I want them to be, where I think they can be. That's. I mean, I don't do it for the money. I'm not rich. I'm never going to be rich. It still goes back to sports. I want to get those numbers where I want them to be. And, I've been doing this long enough. I would like to think that, I got a pretty good chance of doing it. And I think I'm like a star quarterback in this business. I've been doing it long enough that if I'm not, then I better go shoot myself, Max. But another thing too is you cannot put money in front of anything. I really don't think you can. And that goes back to associating yourself with the right people and getting involved and helping other people. It might sound corny, but there is such a thing as whatever you want to call it, whether it's karma or whatever. Money cannot be the moving factor, or you end up chasing the money and not the, And I always preach this too. And if this is about the restaurant business, it's not a food business; it's a people business. You can have mediocre food and great staff and you can survive. You can have the best food in the world and a mediocre staff and you'll probably go out of business. I mean, and there's just so many, but not just the restaurant
I was
business.
going to say, yeah.
There's so many variables. I mean, but the people that work with you, they are your product. I mean, because people work hard for money. They can eat anywhere they want to eat.
Right.
So you gotta, you have to create that.
One thing as we're winding down the show, I am hearing these words as far as like I said, I really try to do shows that really, if somebody's watching the show, they can kind of have some pen and piece of paper or their phone or whatever, and that kind of taking some pointers away on how they can be successful if they're not successful yet, or if they're. One thing that I always like to do is there's always something you can learn. If somebody can take one or two things away from a show, to me, I feel like I did a good job on the show, and I think you give so many good nuggets already. And the point that I want to shift to is how important it is to find what you're good at, in life, and how I'm going to quote a guy who I watch several times, a guy named Ty Lopez, who talks about how important it is to not getting good at the wrong thing. There's so many people go through their whole life and find they got good at the wrong thing, and seems like you got good at the right thing. You learned what you were good at, and going back to what you're saying about success is not always all about money, and honestly, happiness, I always tell people, is not really an emotion, it's a decision. We could decide to be happy with lots of money or little money or whatever our situation is. We can find happiness in whatever that is, and actually wherever you find happiness, you find contentment.
Yeah.
And
sometimes the money follows.
And you know what? Most of the time when you're doing and I should say, a lot of times when you're doing what you love, to me, I call it the Michael Jordan theory. It's when you're doing what you love, you're not working. It's the way to cheat life, because you're doing the thing that you would do. And I would say with Michael Jordan, everybody knows who Michael Jordan is, and if he never made in the NBA, I believe he'd still be playing basketball on the weekends. He loved the sport that much that he'd be playing on the weekends, and so he found something he was good at. He would be doing for free, and found a way to make tons of money at it. And I think that that's one thing that I want to leave people with, that if you're or share with people, that if you a lot of times people struggle with what they should do in life or what they should be, and a lot of times it's going after your passion. Whatever you're passionate about is super important, because it's the thing that gets you out of bed.
It's for sure.
And keeps you focused on it's not working
Max,
anymore.
no, that's it. There has never, and listen, there's been plenty of times I'm like, first of all, I've never gotten up and felt like, I got to go to work. Oh my God, I got to go to work. No, I was like, I'll go in early. I mean, I got to tell you, so there's been a lot of times I'm like, man, I hope they don't turn the gas and electric off today. Okay. But for me, I never took no for an answer. I did not listen to other people like, that's a bad neighborhood, or why are you going now? So, and I was wrong plenty of times, but for me, it was a passion, and it still is. My other passion is, and I don't want to go off the restaurant topic, but we talked about before the show, is just trying to level the playing field for inner city use. I mean, because, and this is not the restaurant subject, but you and I have talked before about this.
Right.
And I just want to throw this little plug in. We got to level the playing field for everybody. There's too many haves and have-nots. Until we level the playing field, it's like, I want everybody to be able to afford to go play golf with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll leave it at that. Because I'll get off on a tangent and talk about bulldozing down the public housing and don't give blank the millions of dollars to build houses in Locust Point, where the citizens of Baltimore who need help will never be able to afford to move to Locust Point.
Right.
And we've got 16,000 boarded up houses that money could go toward.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And you know what? As we're winding up the show, I have one last question for you, and I want to know what would you say is the hardest thing you've ever done?
The hardest thing I've ever done, business-wise.
Period.
We're breaking up with a girlfriend. We're not talking high school. No. Oh boy, Max. I might have to phone that in next week.
You have to phone that in
There's
next
been a
week.
lot of hard things I've had to do.
Right.
The hardest thing I've ever had to do. been pretty lucky, Max. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
That's beautiful.
I mean, I've been pretty daggone lucky.
Well, you know what? We're gonna end it there, and then keep looking at your tie. I'm looking at the blue and gold, the Loyola colors.
Yeah.
I'm saying, for all those Dons out there, yeah.
Well, this wasn't the tie I planned on wearing. My wife made me change it.
Uh-huh.
I had a lime green tie on with pink palm trees, and my wife said, "Bob, you're not wearing that tie. That's a summer tie." So I just went and grabbed this. And I'll give you this tie, Max. I will. I mean, it's Loyola colors.
Yeah, it is. It's a blue and gold. I love it. I'm sure everybody out there, those Dons out there, will love it too. Blue and gold out there. And you know what? I want to say we're kind of running out of time. It's bottom of the hour, so I want to say you've been an awesome guest. Thank you so much for coming on to the Max Fortune Show. And for those of you who are watching, if you missed any part of the show, you can actually view it on the Max Fortune Show on YouTube for replays of this show, so you can watch it again and catch up on anything that you missed. You can also simply go to AskMaxFortune.com and click on the picture of the show, and it'll take you right to the YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Again, you can ask questions of the Max Fortune Show or become a guest of the show by calling 844-220-2266, and the producer will talk to you about how you can do that. You can also email us at the show at maxfortuneshow@gmail. So again, that's maxfortuneshow@gmail. If you have any questions, comments, or things you want to share with us. Remember, if you like the content that we're bringing every week, don't forget to go to Ask Max Fortune on Facebook and Instagram to follow and like those pages, please. And again, thank you for watching the Max Fortune Show. We appreciate all of our viewers. Thanks for tuning in. Liz, thanks for calling in to the show. It's been a pleasure. I'm Max Fortune signing off, and I want to say, always remember that I want you to turn your dreams into goals, your goals into tasks, and your tasks into activities that will help you to make your dreams a success. Have a good day. We'll see you the same time next week, and same time and day next week. Again,
Thanks for having me, Max.
Yeah, thank you.